Dozens of communities are on edge this morning after a new wave of bomb threats against Jewish community centers and schools. 31 bomb threats were called into Jewish facilities in 16 different states yesterday. Fortunately, nothing was found. Since the beginning of the year, there have been more than 100 reported incidents in 33 states, even in 2 Canadian provinces. Several states have now asked the FBI to step in and help in the investigation. You've seen the images from 2 Jewish cemeteries attacked by vandals. We've shown you those images on the show. Hundreds of headstones knocked over. Well, a group of Muslim activists are reaching out to help. They've raised more than $100,000, in fact, $130,000, and they're pitching in to clean up the damage and more. I want to welcome Tarek El-Messidi. He's the founding director, of CelebrateMercy and one of the co-organizers of the fundraiser. Tarek, I'm really impressed by your efforts here. You helped organize this fundraiser to clean up the mess there in Philly. You're extending it now to St. Louis. And you had originally said when you were looking to raise money for the incident in Philly, if we raise more than that, we'll use it for other incidences, knowing that they were likely to be more. That's a heartbreaking reality.
Yeah, well, thank you, Michaela, for having me. And, you know, when I first saw the images from St. Louis last week, I was heartbroken. You know, as a human being, first and foremost, the work I do teaches about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And it reminded me of a story of when he was sitting with some of his disciples and he saw a Jewish funeral procession pass by him and he stood up to pay his respects. And even some of his disciples asked him at that moment, you know, why are you standing up? It's not a Muslim funeral. And his response was so beautiful. He said, is it not a human soul? So I think once you put away all the politics, put our different religions aside, you know, every human being has the right to rest in peace. And when I saw the images from St. Louis and again from Philadelphia, you know, I just wanted to reach out along with Linda Sarsour, the co-organizer, and help to fix the damage.
You know, it's been interesting to me to watch, and I know this from my years on Earth, but also years in the business, of watching how often, so often, out of darkness comes light. And one of the points of light that we're seeing in Philly and in St. Louis is that the faith communities are coming together, and you've been seeing that there in Philly. And in fact, it's even bringing you together with all of the Islamophobia, the anti-Semitism. It's bringing those communities together.
Yeah, I mean, the Muslim and Jewish community historically has not worked that closely together in the United States. And if there's any silver lining in this tragedy and in the hate-filled rhetoric we're seeing and these threats, is that both communities are now reaching out. They're getting to know one another as, you know, descendants of Abraham. And it's beautiful to see, more heartwarming to me than all the money that's been raised. And it's been around $1,000 every 45 minutes. Is that we've gotten like 200 emails from Jewish Americans, some of whom have families buried in the cemeteries, that have just been so heartwarming and touching. And I think this is the beginning of something great, a great relationship.
Well, I've often wondered why we focus so much on what divides us instead of what binds us. And you found that point, those points. There's so many, right, Tarek? Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Keep up the great work. It's going to be very important now, not just in fixing the cemeteries. We know that is vital, but also, you know, reaching out your arms and linking arms with other faith communities. We appreciate the work you're doing.